Thank you for tuning in to Investment Insight presented by McCay Wealth Advisory. My name is Hayden Proffitt. Joining us today, we have Brent McCay. Brent, how does trade affect the U.S. dollar?
Right. So historically, a lot of people have said, hey, the U.S. has all this debt, the value of our dollar has gone down. But really, the dollar has had more relationship to supply and demand than anything else. So give you an example. So if you got a foreign country like China, they go in and they sell us a good. They sell us, a chair or piece of furniture. Well, we then exchange that good for American dollars.
Right.
Now that China has those American dollars, then they got to do something with it. So most of the time what they do with it is they basically loan money to the United States, or they use that money. They said, we're going to keep it here. We're just going to loan it to you. What that does is that increases the demand for dollars. And for the last 15 or so years, we've seen a situation where the value of the dollar has actually increased as our debt has increased dramatically because of some of this relationship. Now, as we look at trade policies and things occurring right now, it's possible that this relationship could change, because if we produce more of our own stuff, then we're not trading dollars, which means the flow of the dollars will slow down. When the flow of dollars slows down, the value of the dollar gets weaker. Now, what this does is this is a good thing for exporters, because, one of the things that China and some countries have done is they've been accused of keeping their currency lower so their goods are cheaper, which means they can sell us more stuff and put our manufacturers out of business. However, when you have a weaker dollar, your dollar doesn't go as far. Your standard of living goes down and inflation goes up. And so as we look at what's going on right now with current policy, and oddly enough, the dollar is losing some of its safe haven status because people are not buying dollars as some of these trade barriers go up, we could be seeing a situation where the dollar could go down in value. This also could be a lot by energy. One of the main things we trade dollars for right now is oil and natural gas. We go out there and we sell you, some natural gas and oil. We get euros, then we turn it into dollars. And so our value of our dollar is a lot based on commodities and energy. Now, all this, plays into the deficit in government spending, because if the government does truly reduce spending, like they are talking about, that could then effectively lower the demand for debt, which would mean we would print less dollars, which means the value of the dollar could go up. So one of the biggest things when we look at the dollar to remember is there's a lot of variables that affect the value of money. And they're a little bit more broad than just what our deficit is. That's one component, but a lot of that component is demand. And if the United States starts moving to a situation where we become more internal and less external trade, those kind of deals, then the value of the dollar could in effect go down because of less volume, but it also could go up because if we borrow less money. But as we go through this transition with the economy, as our economy moves more towards domestic manufacturing, there's going to be some ups and downs with money that are going to affect inflation, what you pay for goods, and obviously that would make a foreign good, if your dollar goes down, more expensive, and a domestic good cheaper. If you're buying cologne from France and the euro goes up in value, it's more expensive. If you're buying cologne from Kentucky, it could be a little bit cheaper.
Right.
And so as we look at this and trade policy, a big part of the markets and economy now is going to be related to and you're going to see a lot of movement in the U.S. dollar.
Right. Well, thanks for talking to us about the U.S. dollar and just how trade affects it. And thank you for tuning in today as well. Hope you have a great day.